The dust storm howled across the barren surface of Kythera, turning the sky a dull orange. Marcus Chin pulled his environmental suit tighter and squinted through his visor at the endless expanse of ancient ruins stretching before him. His mother worked 50 meters away with the excavation team, carefully brushing sand from stone fragments that had been dead for thousands of years. Marcus was bored. He had heard the same lectures a dozen times. The alien researchers, tall, crystalline Velnari and hulking Kryn warriors, barely acknowledged his presence. To them, humans were newcomers to the galaxy, barely worth noticing. They whisper among themselves, wondering why humans wasted time studying ruins when there were profits to be made elsewhere. "Stay close, Marcus." His mother called through the comm link, not even looking up from her work. But Marcus had already spotted something interesting. Beyond the main excavation site, past the safety markers, a canyon cut deep into the planet's crust. Something about it pulled at him, like a half-remembered dream. He glanced back at the team. No one was watching. His feet carried him forward before his mind could argue. The canyon walls rose around him, blocking out the wind. Strange symbols covered the stone, unlike anything he had seen in his mother's research files. They looked almost familiar, like someone had taken Chinese characters, Arabic script, and ancient Sanskrit and melted them together. His fingers traced the carvings, and warmth spread through his glove. That was impossible. These ruins were supposed to be cold and lifeless. Then he saw it. At the end of the canyon, half buried in sand, stood a massive shrine. It rose 20 meters high, carved from a single piece of black stone that seemed to drink in light. Serpentine patterns coiled across its surface. Dragons, Marcus realized with shock. They looked exactly like the dragons from Earth mythology, the kind his grandmother had told him stories about when he was small. Marcus approached slowly. His suit's sensors went crazy, detecting energy signatures that should not exist in a dead ruin. The symbols near the shrine's base glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He knelt down, studying the inscription at eye level. The words made no sense, yet somehow they did. They felt right in his mouth, like a language he had spoken in another life. Marcus did not think about what he was doing. He simply read the word aloud, letting it roll off his tongue naturally. Draktharian. The world exploded with light. The shrine roared to life, energy cascading down its surface in waves of blue and gold. The sand around Marcus's feet blasted away, revealing intricate metal panels beneath the stone. Mechanisms that slept for millennia groaned and awakened. Deep within the shrine, something vast and ancient stirred. Marcus stumbled backward, his heart hammering. He should run. He should call for help. But his legs would not obey. The shrine surface split open like a flower. From within emerged a being that defied description. It was partly biological, partly machine, its body covered in scales that shimmered between metal and living tissue. Wings unfurled, each one etched with circuits that glowed like veins of fire. The creature's head was distinctly draconic, with intelligent eyes that burned with inner light. A dragon, an actual dragon. The being stretched, shaking off centuries of stillness. Then those luminous eyes fixed on Marcus, pinning him in place with their intensity. The dragon lowered its head until it was level with the boy, so close that Marcus could see his reflection in its metallic scales. A voice entered Marcus's mind, bypassing his ears entirely. It was not one voice, but many, speaking in harmony across languages he knew and languages he had never heard. "At last," the dragon said, and Marcus felt the weight of countless years in those words. "At last, humanity remembers." "What?" Marcus whispered. "I don't understand. What did I do?" The dragon's eyes seemed to look through him, beyond him, into something deeper than flesh and bone. "You spoke the old word. You carry the ancient markers in your blood. You are human, and you have awakened what has waited 50,000 years for your kind to return." Behind Marcus, alarm shrieked across the excavation site. His mother's voice screamed his name through the comm. The alien researchers were running toward the canyon, their equipment detecting the massive energy surge. But Marcus could not look away from the dragon. "Return from where?" he asked. The dragon's expression might have been a smile. "From the stars you once ruled, child of the cedars. Welcome home." The dragon's presence filled Marcus's mind like water pouring into an empty glass. Images flashed before his eyes. Cities of light stretching across alien worlds, massive ships crossing between stars, and always humans at the center of it all. But these were not the humans Marcus knew. These were builders, teachers, gods walking among younger species. No, Marcus said, shaking his head. That's impossible. Humans are new to space. We only left Earth 300 years ago. Everyone knows that. The dragon shifted, its metallic scales catching the light. That is what you were meant to believe. That is what the younger species needed to believe. The creature's tail swept across the sand, revealing more symbols beneath. Sit, young keeper. You have awakened me, and now you must understand the burden you carry. Marcus sat, his legs weak. Behind him, he could hear his mother and the excavation team shouting, but they seemed very far away. The dragon had created some kind of barrier around the canyon, keeping everyone else out. 50,000 years ago, the dragon began, humanity was not crawling in caves on Earth. Your ancestors had mastered the stars. They traveled to 1,000 worlds and found species still learning to use tools. The Velnari were crystalline formations with barely any consciousness. The Kryn were tribal hunters who killed each other over territory. The Zoloft barely understood fire. What did humans do? Marcus asked quietly. They uplifted them, gave them language, technology, science. Your ancestors believed that intelligence should not be hoarded by one species alone. They built temples like this one on every world they touched, filling them with knowledge and tools. They accelerated the development of dozens of species by millions of years. Marcus thought of the proud Velnari researchers who looked down on humans, the mighty Kryn warriors who treated his people like children. Then what happened? Why don't they remember? The dragon's eyes dimmed slightly. Because your ancestors made a choice. They saw what they become. The masters, the gods, the ones all other species looked to for answers. And they realized this was wrong. The younger species were not growing. They were merely copying. They would never surpass their teachers because they worshipped them too much. So humans left? They did more than leave. They erased themselves from history. They destroyed their cities, scattered their technology, and locked behind genetic keys that only humans could open. Then they split into small groups and spread across the galaxy, starting over as primitives. Most went to Earth, a world they had kept hidden and pristine. There, they lived for thousands of years without technology, letting the younger species grow strong without them. Marcus felt dizzy. The other species, do they know? Some suspect. The oldest among them have found clues, fragments of truth, but most have convinced themselves the humans are just another young species, lucky to have stumbled into space travel. They prefer this lie because the truth terrifies them. Why? The dragon leaned closer. Because if humans can access what the Cedars left behind, everything changes. There are shrines like this one on 47 worlds. Each holds technology that could reshape reality. Terraforming engines, weapons that could crack planets, medical knowledge that could grant near mortality, ships that could cross the galaxy in days. Whoever controls these shrines controls the future of all species. A chill ran down Marcus's spine. And I just opened one. You did more than open it, Marcus Chun. You bonded with it. I am now your guardian, your teacher, and your weapon if needed. The knowledge of this shrine flows through you. You are the first keeper in 50,000 years. Marcus looked at his hands. They looked the same, but he could feel something different now. A connection to the shrine, like a new sense he had never possessed before. Information lurked at the edges of his consciousness, waiting to be accessed. I don't want this, he whispered. Few would, the dragon replied gently. But the choice has been made. Already, every government in the galaxy knows something has awakened on Cathera. They are coming, Marcus. The Kryn will try to take the shrine by force. The Velnari will try to bury it again. The Zoloft will try to buy it. And there are others, secret councils of aliens who have spent centuries keeping humanity weak and scattered, fearing exactly this moment. What do I do? The dragon's wings spread wide, casting shadows across the canyon walls. You survive. You learn. You find the other shrines before they do. And you decide what humanity's true legacy should be, domination or something greater. Above them, the sky darkened as ships entered orbit. The hunt had begun. The Kryn warships descended like falling stars, their black hulls blocking out the orange sky. Marcus pressed himself against the canyon wall as the ground shook from their landing. Through the dragon's barrier, he could see his mother being dragged away by Kryn soldiers, along with the rest of the excavation team. She was screaming his name. "We have to help them," Marcus said, turning to the dragon. The massive creature remained calm. "The barrier protects only this shrine. If you leave its protection, the Kryn will capture you. Then all the shrines will fall into their hands." "I don't care about the shrines. That's my mother out there." The dragon's eyes softened. "I understand, but there's another way." The creature pressed one metallic claw against the shrine surface. A panel slid open, revealing a dark tunnel leading down into the earth. The Cedars built connections between their temples, portal networks that spanned the galaxy. "We can reach safety and plan a rescue." Marcus hesitated, watching soldiers surround the canyon. There were too many. He had no weapons, no way to fight. His hands clenched into fists. "I'll come back for her," he promised. "I swear it." "I know you will, young keeper." Marcus ran into the tunnel. The dragon followed, its form shrinking and compacting until it was small enough to fit through the passageway. Behind them, the shrine sealed itself and the barrier collapsed. Marcus heard the Kryn soldiers shouting in frustration as they reached the empty canyon. The tunnel glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols covered the walls, the same mixed language Marcus had seen before. His feet carried him forward on instinct, following turns and drops that seemed random but felt right. The dragon moved silently beside him. "Where does this lead?" Marcus asked, his voice echoing. "To another shrine world. Vel Sanctuary, the Velnari homeworld. There is a temple beneath their capital city, hidden and forgotten. We will be safer there while we plan our next move." The tunnel opened into a larger chamber. In its center stood a circular platform covered in symbols. Marcus stepped onto it, and the dragon placed a claw on his shoulder. Energy surged through the room. The world twisted, colors bleeding together, and Marcus felt like he was being pulled through a straw. Then solid ground returned beneath his feet. They emerged in darkness, in a chamber that smelled of dust and age. Marcus stumbled forward, his stomach churning from the journey. Above them, he could hear the hum of a city, vehicles, voices, the pulse of life. "We are directly below the Velnari capital," the dragon whispered. "Speak quietly. This shrine has not been opened in millennia. They do not know it exists beneath their feet." A light flared in the darkness. Marcus spun around to see a crystalline figure holding a glowing orb. The Velnari's body was transparent, reflecting rainbow colors, and her voice chimed like bells. "I know it exists," she said. "I have been searching for it my entire life." The dragon moved to strike, but Marcus held up his hand. Something about this Velnari felt different. She was not attacking. She stood alone without soldiers or weapons. "Who are you?" Marcus asked. "My name is Crystallis. I am a scholar, and I have been studying the old legends for decades. Stories the Velnari government calls myths and lies. Stories about the Cedars and the gifts they left behind." She stepped closer, her crystalline eyes fixed on Marcus. "You are human. You activated the shrine on Kethera. The entire galaxy is hunting for you. Are you to turn me in?" Crystallis made a sound like wind chimes laughing. "Turn you in? Child, I have spent my life being mocked and dismissed for believing in you. My own people call me insane. No, I am not going to turn you in. I am going to help you." The dragon studied her carefully. "Why would you betray your species?" "Because it is not betrayal to seek the truth. The Velnari government has been lying for thousands of years. They found evidence of the Cedars decades ago and buried it. They are terrified that if humans reclaim their legacy, the Velnari will lose their position of power." Crystallis turned back to Marcus. "But I believe the Cedars left their knowledge to be shared, not hoarded. If you are truly a keeper, then I want to help you activate the shrines." Marcus looked at the dragon, who gave a slight nod. We need to rescue my mother first, Marcus said. She's a prisoner on Cathera. Then we will need a ship, Crystalise replied. And I know someone who can help. A human smuggler who owes me a favor. His name is Drake, and he is probably drunk in a bar 3 levels above us right now. Drake's ship was a rust bucket held together by hope and bad welding. The smuggler himself was a scarred man with gray streaking his hair and a permanent scowl. He leaned against the pilot's chair, bottle in hand, while Crystalise explained their plan. You want me to fly into a Kryn blockade, rescue prisoners, and escape before their entire fleet blows us into atoms, Drake said flatly. Have I got that right? Yes, Marcus said. My mother is down there. Drake took a long drink. Kid, I like breathing. This plan does not help me keep breathing. The shrine can help us, Marcus insisted. It has defensive technology, weapon systems. I can feel the knowledge inside my head. I just need to access it. The dragon, now coiled in the cargo hold, spoke through Marcus's mind. The boy relayed its words. There is a second shrine on Vel Sanctuary. If we activate it, I can download more of the Cedar technology, enough to give this ship a fighting chance. Drake laughed bitterly. A fighting chance. Great. I love those odds. But Crystalise placed a crystalline hand on his shoulder. You owe me, Drake. Remember the Zoloft prison station? I got you out when no one else would. The smuggler's face darkened. He was silent for a long moment, then threw the bottle against the wall. Fine, but when we die, I'm haunting both of you. They returned to the hidden shrine beneath the Velnari capital. Marcus approached the central altar, his hand shaking. The dragon guided him, showing him which symbols to touch, which words to speak. The ancient language flowed from his lips more easily now, as if his tongue remembered what his mind had forgotten. The shrine blazed alive. A second dragon emerged, smaller than the first but equally magnificent. Knowledge flooded into Marcus's brain. Star charts, weapon designs, shield configurations, medical treatments. It was too much, too fast. He screamed, falling to his knees as information burned through his neural pathways. The dragon caught him with one wing. Breathe, young keeper. Let it flow through you, not into you. You cannot hold it all. You must learn to access it when needed. Marcus gasped, sweat pouring down his face. Slowly, the flood became a stream, then a trickle. The knowledge settled into the back of his mind, waiting to be called upon. I can do it, he whispered. I can upgrade the ship. I can get us through the blockade. Drake stared at him. You're 15 years old. I'm a keeper now. Age doesn't matter. Over the next 6 hours, Marcus worked on Drake's ship with tools Crystalise provided. His hands moved with confidence he should not possess, installing devices he should not understand. The dragon downloaded shield generators and cloaking technology directly from the shrine's archives. By the time they finished, the rust bucket looked the same on the outside, but hummed with barely contained power. They launched at dawn, slipping past Velnari security with a new cloaking system. The journey to Cathera took 2 days. Marcus barely slept, spent his time learning to control the flood of knowledge in his head. He discovered weapons that could vaporize mountains, ships that could move faster than light, and machines that could rebuild entire ecosystems. The power terrified him. What if I make the wrong choice? He asked the dragon one night. What if I use this knowledge the wrong way? That fear, the dragon replied, is what makes you worthy to carry it. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel above Cathera. The Kryn blockade filled the scanner screen. 20 warships, each one bristling with weapons. Drake's hands tightened on the controls. This is suicide, he muttered. Marcus closed his eyes, reaching into the knowledge the shrine had given him. Take us in. I'll handle the shields. The Kryn detected them immediately. Energy beams lanced through space, striking Drake's ship with enough force to vaporize a normal vessel. But the cedar shields held, bending the energy around them like water flowing past a rock. Marcus felt each impact in his bones, redirecting power, compensating for weak points. They punched through the blockade and dove toward the planet's surface. Kryn fighters followed, firing continuously. Drake flew like a madman, threading through canyons while Marcus kept the shield alive through sheer willpower. They reached the excavation site and landed hard. The cargo ramp dropped, and they ran toward the prison structure the Kryn had built. But someone was waiting for them, a human in military uniform, flanked by Kryn soldiers. Marcus recognized him. Lieutenant Hayes, a military advisor who had been with the excavation team. "Hello, Marcus," Hayes said, raising a weapon. "I'm afraid you're not rescuing anyone today. You're going to give me access to those shrines, or your mother dies." Marcus stared at Lieutenant Hayes, his mind racing. Behind the traitor, Kryn soldiers held his mother at gunpoint. Her face was bruised, but her eyes blazed with defiance when she saw her son. "Don't give him anything, Marcus," she shouted before a soldier struck her silent. Hayes smiled coldly. "Dramatic, but pointless. Marcus, I know what you can do. I've seen the reports from Vel Sanctuary. You activated a second shrine. You have access to technology that could change everything." He stepped closer, his weapon steady. "Humanity has been kicked around by these aliens for 3 centuries. We've been called primitives, children, lucky accidents. But you can change that. Give me the activation codes, and together we can make humans the rulers they were always meant to be." "The Cedars didn't rule," Marcus said quietly. "They taught. There's a difference. The Cedars were fools who threw away an empire. I won't make that mistake." Hayes gestured to his Kryn allies. "These idiots think I'm helping them. But once I have the shrines, they'll be the ones bowing to us." The dragon's voice whispered in Marcus's mind. "He cannot access the shrines without you. But if you resist, your mother dies. Choose carefully, Keeper." Marcus looked at his mother, then at Drake and Crystalise behind him. Drake's hand hovered near his weapon, but they were outnumbered 20-1. Crystalis's body reflected the harsh sunlight, her expression unreadable. "Okay," Marcus said, raising his hands. "I'll take you to the Prime Shrine, the main temple where all the knowledge is stored. But you have to let my mother go first." Hayes laughed. "Do I look stupid? She comes with us. Insurance." They loaded onto a Kryn transport ship. Marcus, his mother, Drake, Crystalise, Hayes, and a dozen Kryn soldiers. The dragon followed invisibly, connected to Marcus through their bond. Hayes had coordinates for the Prime Shrine, information stolen from classified Velnari databases. The hidden world was called Origin's Rest, a planet erased from all official star charts. The journey took 3 days. During that time, Marcus felt the dragon teaching him, preparing him for what was coming. The knowledge in his head organized itself, becoming clearer, easier to access. He learned the true purpose of the shrines, the reason the Cedars had built them. They were not weapons. They were tests. Origin's Rest appeared on the view screen, a green and blue world, untouched by civilization. The Prime Shrine sat on the largest continent, a massive structure that dwarfed the others. It looked like a mountain, but every surface was carved with symbols and patterns. Other ships were already there. Velnari warships, Zoloth merchant vessels, even independent pirates. Everyone had heard the signal. When Marcus activated the second shrine, they all wanted the power that lay waiting inside. The transport landed in a crowded field of ships. Hayes pushed Marcus forward, weapon pressed against his spine. The dragon materialized beside them, causing several aliens to stumble backward in fear. "Good," Hayes said. "Let them see what we control." They approached the Prime Shrine's entrance. The massive doors were sealed, covered in the same mixed language Marcus had seen before. He placed his hand on the surface, and the doors groaned open. Light spilled out, warm and golden. Inside, the chamber was vast beyond reason. Stars seemed to shine in the ceiling, showing every world the Cedars had touched. In the center stood a dragon larger than any Marcus had seen, ancient, powerful, and waiting. Its eyes opened, focusing on Marcus. "Welcome, child of the Cedars," the Prime Dragon said, its voice shaking the ground. "You have passed the first tests, awakening the Guardians, resisting corruption, showing compassion even to those who would use you. Now comes the final choice." The dragon gestured with one massive wing. 3 pedestals rose from the floor, each one glowing with different colored light. The red pedestal will give you full control of all Cedar technology. You can restore humanity to its former glory, ruling over all other species, as gods once more. Hayes grinned. That one. Choose that one. The black pedestal will destroy the network forever. All shrines will collapse. All knowledge will be lost. No one will ever access this power again. The white pedestal will open the shrines to all species, sharing the knowledge equally, but requires sacrifice. You will no longer be the sole keeper. Others will learn what you know. Marcus walked forward slowly. Behind him, his mother whispered, Marcus, choose what's right, not what's easy. Hayes raised his weapon. The red one, Marcus. Don't be a fool like your ancestors. Marcus reached the pedestals. He could feel the power radiating from each one. The red one called to him, promising strength, security, revenge for every insult humanity had suffered. The black one offered peace through destruction. The white one offered hope, but demanded trust. He thought about Drake, who had risked his life for strangers, about Crystalise, who had betrayed her own government to seek truth, about his mother, who had spent her life learning about dead civilizations because she believed knowledge mattered. Marcus placed his hand on the white pedestal. Light exploded through the chamber. Hayes screamed in rage and fired his weapon, but the dragon's tail swept him aside like a toy. The traitor crashed into the wall and did not rise. The prime dragon bowed its head. You have chosen wisdom over power. The shrines will open to all species, but slowly, with safeguards. Those who seek knowledge to create will be welcomed. Those who seek it to destroy will be turned away. Outside, every shrine in the galaxy began to glow. The knowledge of the Cedar started flowing outward, accessible to any species willing to learn with open hearts and minds. Marcus's mother wrapped her arms around him, crying. Drake clapped him on the shoulder. Crystalise made a sound like crystal bells ringing in celebration. What happens now? Marcus asked the Prime Dragon. Now, young keeper, you teach. You show them what your ancestors understood, that true strength comes not from standing above others, but from lifting them up beside you. Years passed. Marcus stood before a classroom filled with students, humans, Velnari, Kryn, Zoloff, and dozens of other species. They were the first graduates of the Keeper Academy, ready to go out into the galaxy and share the Cedar legacy responsibly. Above the academy, the dragon shrines glowed softly in the night sky, no longer sleeping. Finally awake and finally home,